Number 5, let go of absolutes. So, absolute thinking is this idea that ideas are either completely right or completely wrong. It's either success or failure, or you're a good person or you're a bad person. I love you. I love this person. I hate this person. Or that I need everything or nothing. I got it all or I don't have anything at all. Essentially, it's thinking of the world in terms of black and white. And that could be harmful. So, this is what we call in psychotherapy black and white thinking. And I want to give black and white thinking some credit because it's useful, right? Like when you're learning and growing up, you are taught that, hey, when you do this math exercises, this is the correct answer, this is the wrong answer, right? You are taught that when you're waiting in line, like standing in a queue, that's the right thing to do. Running around and stuff, that's the wrong thing to do, right? Putting money in the bank, the right thing to do. Stealing from the bank, the wrong thing to do, right? We're taught to think in binary. And that's not a bad thing. It helps allow us to understand the world easier and navigate through it. But sometimes that becomes an oversimplification because the reality is that it's not so black and white. Take, for example, a relationship. Doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, but could be. Could be even a relationship with a friend or a relationship with a parent or whatever. Sometimes that person in our life will do something that upsets us. So does that sometimes make us think, this is a bad person. I want to cut them out of my life. And then maybe later on, they'll do something that we really appreciate. This is a great person. I love this person. Or sometimes we will do something great, give a great presentation, and people clap, and everyone's happy. Oh, I'm a great speaker. Or give a presentation, people falling asleep, and people leave midway through. I mean, I'm not talking about you, of course, and it's fine if you do. But, oh, I'm a bad speaker. I'm not good enough. And it could be anything in your job, could be in your relationships, could be in your own personal journey of growth. Also in your spiritual life, when you're thinking about yourself. Today I'm a saint. I'm a sinner. I'm going to heaven. I'm going to go to hell. Right? It's this constant black and white thinking. It can feel like a roller coaster. And that can lead to mental health issues where you're not feeling so good. Where things are good one day, bad the next day. And the reality is, because nothing is perfect, it can feel like things are never good enough. I'm never good enough. My marriage is never good enough. My kids are never good enough. My work is never good enough. This show I'm watching is never good enough, etc. And because it's either a success or a failure, good or bad, it prevents growth. There's no opportunity for growth if it's either good or bad, yes or no. There's no steps. There's no improvement, right? And then it also takes away nuance. It takes away this idea that sometimes different doesn't necessarily mean better or good. Sometimes it does, but yeah. And it can also make it harder to love myself, to love others, to love ideas. So it really prevents us from seeing the world accurately. Because the reality is that, with certain exceptions, of course, the world is a sea of gray. Okay? Does that make sense? All right. So what can we do instead? Gradient thinking. So funny, Justin. Gradient thinking. So instead of seeing the world as black and white, we can see it as a spectrum, right? This allows for nuance. This allows for improvement. This allows for things to be different, right? And the reality is that in every single person and in every single situation, there is some good and there is potential for improvement. Accepting the nuance, accepting diversity does not necessarily mean that there's no reason to grow. It just means that there is good and it can perhaps be better, or this is different. Doesn't necessarily mean it's either bad or good, it's different. So By seeing things as a gradient, by seeing things in a spectrum, by seeing things as gray, it allows us to not be on an emotional roller coaster with the world and with ourselves.